We're good.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph.
Thank you. People just jump off.
Yeah. Mike, are you there? Oh, Ira will talk to us.
Hi, Ira.
Hey, Ira, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. There's Resham in that cute t-shirt.
Wow, the best people are on already.
Mike is muted, but he's here.
Is that Mike at KW?
Yeah.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you as well. And Ira, about that question, I saw that Reese responded to you, but you have to just wait. It takes like 24 hours sometimes.
I'm not patient. I want my listings to be live.
I know,
fast.
but you don't have to re-enter it. You just have to be patient.
No, I know. I have another one later in the week.
Wow, look at you go, Ira. Good for you.
And then I got a buyer last week. We're already in the contract.
That's awesome. Aw. Did any of them come from your Facebook leads?
No, not yet. They will. These
Yeah.
are all, right now, they're all referrals. And 44% of realtors' business come from referrals. So,
That's true. That's awesome.
boy, that's a lot of exclamation points, Resham.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
What
Rian.
were you saying? Hi, Laura. Hi, Georgia. What were you saying, Ira?
A lot of exclamation
Hi.
points in your name.
Oh, you know what? That's my son.
I know. It's cute.
Sorry about that.
Don't be sorry. It's cute. Hey, Laura.
Yeah,
Hey, Georgia.
Hey, how are you guys?
Great.
Look, that's my son. He's taken over my Zoom.
Oh,
Cute.
So cute.
And here I am.
Ira,
You
what's
look
that
beautiful.
wallpaper you've got there?
Yes, that's Keller Williams wallpaper. It's virtual.
Oh, okay.
It's a virtual
I
background.
was like, wow. You really went all in on the print.
I'm going to change mine too. Hey.
How are you, Georgia?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Good,
Gotta
good.
stop meeting like this.
We
I
will
know.
soon.
Yeah.
Like, oh
So
man,
Governor Murphy just announced today that schools will be closed for the rest of the school year.
I'm not surprised. I thought so.
I figured so as well.
Yeah, makes sense. We're not out of the woods yet, unfortunately.
We're a very densely populated state. We have to be safe.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that the school's closing for the rest of the year is an awesome thing for us. Think about that. That's going to extend our summer season. People can move anytime because they don't have to wait till the end of the school year.
Right.
Good point.
So
Good point.
you just got to spin it the right way.
This is true.
Hi, Colleen. You okay?
I'm muted. You know, you talk when you're muted and you just keep thinking. This is like the time of day that I just take time to like, okay, now I can just take a minute to breathe. This is like my relaxing time, the Ask Gal. Hey, Resham,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I need to talk to you later. Call me.
Sure, I will. Hi, Tish.
Hi,
you're on mute.
Tisha.
Hi,
Tisha,
John.
what are you going to learn from me today? Come on.
So much. I'm so excited.
No, I'm kidding. I can learn from her.
Asa.
Alice connecting, I think.
I saw him. Now I don't. Oh, there he's connected.
Yeah, he's connecting.
I'm going to mute myself now.
Me too.
I should unmute myself before I start saying, hey, everybody, it's 3 o'clock. Let's get started. All right, cool. Who do we have on? Our big guest today is Laura Gill, but we're going to start off as usual with our mortgage minute or mortgage several minutes. Who do we have on today in mortgage land?
Jason from Bond's supposed to be on, but he's not on yet.
He's not on yet. Then he sacrifices his time. Or I guess we can do it at the end maybe. So
Okay, I'll text him now to make sure he jumps on.
normally I like to do that first because people keep joining in the first 5 minutes and I don't want them to miss a second of the words of wisdom that we're going to be getting from Laura Gill today. Let's just get started with Laura. I think you have Laura still muted. Can you hear me, Laura?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. All right, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks for agreeing to do this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess, if we could just start out by you telling us just a little bit about yourself. Most agents know you, but some of the new agents probably don't. Just a little bit about, how long you've been in real estate, what made you get into it, and any other fun facts you want to share, of your life that you're willing to share.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I grew up in Canada and I was living in Toronto after my first degree. I was, working for Citigroup in marketing. So I had got transferred down to New York. And so I've been down here for 20 some odd years. And, I enjoyed working for that and being part of marketing and that sort of thing. But then I really wanted something where I had more flexibility. I absolutely hated my commute. I worked in Long Island City in that terrible building that, what used to be in the middle of nowhere when I worked there. Now there's stuff around it. But anyway, so I wanted to do something more local.
Are you talking about the building in Long Island City, did you say?
Yeah, that big emerald building in the middle.
I used to work right down the block from that, actually, in Long Island City.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a cool area, but it wasn't at the time. It was like a wasteland.
You're on 44th Drive, right?
What was it? Sorry?
44th Drive in Long Island City.
Yeah, it's called One Court Square is the address, but yeah. It's that corner. So anyway, at that point, I was really looking to invest in real estate. I always enjoyed real estate. And so I got my real estate license in 2004. And, but I didn't really do too much with it other than sort of, flip my own properties. And then I got divorced, and I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I need to make some money. So in 2010, I joined and started in real estate full time, and here I am. So, Al, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm unmuting myself. So
Okay.
what would you say you love most about real estate? What's your favorite part of it?
Well, I mean, I love my team, so that's always a good thing. They're people I enjoy, and we all get along well, and it's just a nice group, so that's nice. But I mean, I think what I like about real estate is, I mean, I'm taking my same skills that I learned in the marketing world, in the corporate world, and now I'm just switching it over to marketing houses. And because I really only do listings, that's something that's a good skill set transfer for me. I love the flexibility. I love the fact that, I'm my own boss, so to speak. I did not enjoy working in the corporate world. And what I also like about real estate is that every transaction is like a discrete project. I'm someone that tends to get bored pretty easily. So, what I like about it is, even if you have a terrible transaction and you can't stand the client by the end, it doesn't matter. By the end, it's done, it's closed, next, and you're on to something different. And by the time they call you a couple years later, maybe you'll have forgotten how painful it was, and you can sell them another house without going crazy. But if I had to manage a project long-term, year after year, I would just be bored out of my mind. So I like that everything is just small projects.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When we were trading a couple emails about this, I hope you don't mind me saying, you described yourself as an introvert, which I think is interesting. I hope it's okay to share that. I think, I would describe myself as an extrovert my whole life, but as I got older, I became more and more of an introvert. And I think it's helpful for new agents to know that, they don't have to be that, loudest person in the room, backslapping, going into a party, shaking everybody's hand, center of attention kind of person to succeed in this business, which I don't think that's your thing. You're not always looking for people I think that's what you need to be a great real estate agent or great salesperson, right? I mean, anything you want to add to, succeeding in this business without, having to be that backslapping, kind of loud in the room.
You're kind of cutting out a bit, but I mean, from what I heard, the gist of it, being an introvert, yes, I'm an introvert. I'm not the type that wants to be necessarily out there, center of attention. But I mean, I think it's really, I'm not shy though. So, I guess that's the difference. So I don't have a problem sort of asking for, asking for the business or, making the call to follow up or whatever, but I'm not like the most social extroverted person out there.
Right.
So.
Right. Cool. Can you hear me any better now?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Moving along. Just to give people a sense from where, your journey. So your first year in real estate, roughly how much business did you do to your best year?
I did, the first year I started, I probably did 7 million. And then from there, last year was my best year at 53 million. So
you couldn't have lied and said you did like 500,000. The idea was to show people everybody starts off only with a bad year and then they get big, and you had to have a big first year.
Sorry. No, I was motivated. I had to work my butt off. I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old and no income. So
yeah,
I hustled.
That's a big determiner of success in this business, when you kind of have to pay the bills as opposed to somebody who has it as a second income, for sure.
Yeah.
So what is it, we're in a unique time. What does a typical day look like for you today in terms of running your business and your team and prospecting? And how is that different from, what it was before?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, it was very different because, I was spending my days on the phone, with everybody freaking out, and there were just a whole lot of unpleasant phone calls with it, just everyone concerned.
Talking about calls from me?
Sellers.
You're You're talking about the unpleasant phone calls from me or from other people?
Yeah, right. You know, just more nervous sellers, lot of hand holding, lot of concern over where the prices were going to go and things like that. I would say that within the last week, with things turning around, as far as like the weather is getting nicer, people are coming out a little more, and I think the outlook is different, and we're seeing that actually there is still demand, and so I'm kind of back to the same activities as I was before, is just virtual instead. So I'm doing virtual listing appointments. So far, the last 4 listings I've gotten, I've never stepped foot in the house. You know, we're trying out the virtual open houses as well.
Are you pretty regimented? You know, I've asked this question of a few different people. I haven't been able to get anybody to really give me an exact answer, because maybe, you know, the type of people that are so successful, they wake up and every day it's different. But like, to the extent you can you say, like, what does a day look like? Is it, you know, 8 to 10 lead gen, 10 to 12 meet with your team? And is it something that's repeatable, or is it changed day by day?
No, for me, it changes day by day. I'm always kind of prospecting. I'm always multitasking, much to my family's chagrin. You know, I think of something and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get to this guy, and I, you know, follow up. I don't have a set time where I'm sitting on the phone between 8 and 10 or something like that. That's just not the way I operate. It's just kind of a constant flow of keeping in touch.
Got it. Okay. I think there's some agents who have, in this crisis, and I feel bad for them, have taken the attitude of, there's a crisis going on, it's harder to do business, I'm going to kind of hunker down, not do much, and then I'll start my business back up at the end, which I think is very, you know, dangerous. I don't have to ask you, I know you've continued to work hard during the crisis, but is there anything you've done or any tips you could share on how, you know, you kept your business going and what you did for your mindset? Because I think we're all human, and people have a tendency, you know, to get down. And when you get down, you'd rather turn on the TV or have an early glass of wine than continue prospecting. So, you know, have you kept strong during this time, and keep your team motivated as well?
Well, I think, and you know, to be fair, I did have my own pity party for sure. You know, the first couple of weeks, I think like everyone, we were just all in shock, and I was just trying to manage everything and the kids being home and all that. So I did wallow around for a couple of weeks, and then I pulled myself together and went, okay, enough's enough. No more excuses. There's no reason why we can't be doing business. There's still people that need to buy, still need people that need to sell, and why not with us? Something that I found really motivating was actually that thing that Chris Suarez wrote last night, that whole burn the ships type thing. I sent that to my team, and I'm like, this is the way we need to be thinking. And you know, I don't know if everyone's familiar with it, but the concept was, you know, just there's no backup plan, there's no excuses. Don't be thinking you're falling back on EI or UI or any of that stuff. Just go out there and make it happen. So, you know, our team, we have a weekly meeting, a weekly Zoom call, and where we just are keeping in touch and just sort of trying to, you know, keep everybody focused and moving forward. But I've got to say, the phone has been ringing off the hook. So I think with all these buyers have nothing to do, they're sitting at home, and we're finding that it's really a busy time. We're getting ready to rock and roll again.
Awesome. Good for you. So I know for myself, I'm thinking about, if I was listening to you, what I would want to get out of it and what I want when I go to a MegaCamp presentation. So I always want to have something in notes that's like, give me like a tip or something you do, you know, that I can go and do it in my, you know, if there's a trick of how you generate leads on Facebook, or a better way to prospect, or a better way of handling open house. Like, what's something somebody could write down and it'll help their business tomorrow?
Well, I mean, the first thing I think we can all do is sort of continue to talk up the market, because I think it becomes a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And we want people to understand, look, there's buyers out there. There's business to be done. There's still people that need to buy and sell. If you have sellers that are on the fence, convince them to go on. There's not much inventory. Let's get them sold. If you, same with the buyers who think they're going to wait for prices to drop. We're just not seeing that happen. So something that's more tangible that we tried that I think might be an interesting idea for people is trying to, in this market, compress the decision-making time. So what we tried to do is we put on a listing, put on just the exterior photos actually, first of all, pre-marketed it for a little bit, and then we basically said, we're gonna show this for 2 days, and then we're calling for best and final offers. The sellers love that idea because there's only 2 days worth of buyers coming through their house, and they don't have to keep their beds made for the next 5 weeks, but also they just limits the exposure during this time. And it brings out the really serious buyers. So if you're a serious buyer and you've only got 2 days to see a house, and then you've got to make a decision, right? I mean, all the buyers that are out right now are generally serious. They're not the looky-loos. So we did this, and we showed it over this weekend, 42 showings over 2 days and 18 offers.
Wow. That's amazing.
Now, I'm picking up the phone, calling all my sellers who were thinking this wasn't a good time and telling them about this. And we're going to try and replicate this this model, because why not? It's good for all of us.
Can you say those results again for anybody who wasn't listening at home? This is an important point, I think.
Well, by limiting showings to a compressed amount of time to really sort of try and force a decision, we had 42 showings and 18 offers.
That's crazy.
And it was a well-priced house. I mean, you've always got to you can't do this on an overpriced house that's been sitting on the market for a long time. But if you're getting a new listing and you're putting something on that's within range, I think this is a really interesting strategy to try. And worst case scenario, you don't end up with offers and you continue to market it. But I think there's enough buyers out there that have to move that they're going to bite.
Yeah, well, that was a great tip, worth the price of admission right there. If anybody has questions, I want to make this interactive. So if you have questions for Laura, raise your hand either physically like this or, okay, we have a couple there. I think Sherry Marino has a question. No?
No.
Oh, you had a little hand on your thing and maybe hit it by
Yeah,
Oh, it's clapping.
We're clapping? Oh, I thought that was a hand raise. What do I know?
And it looks like Randy Miller has a question in the chat. Randy, I unmuted you if you have a question.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering, that house in Ridgewood or Glenrock?
Ridgewood.
So how do you feel that strategy would work in some of the outer markets, which maybe don't have, unlike Ridgewood and Glenrock, that have different appeal, like, Upper Saddle, Wolcott Lake, Hohokus?
I think it just has to be a well-priced house. I don't know yet because I don't have enough data. We're trying it again this weekend with a different house. And we've got a few more now that I'm lining up based on this. So I'll be able to let you know in a couple more weeks. I think, if it's a desirable house, I mean, we all know the ones that are, have enough flaws that maybe this is not a strategy you want to try. But if it's desirable enough, and I think if enough of us start doing it, we might be able to sort of train the buyers like, look, you got to come in, like it, don't like it, whatever, make your decision and let's get it done.
I saw about 4 or 5 people just join, so we're not going to repeat it again, but you just missed a great tip to get 18 offers on all your listings. So you'll have to rewatch it later. Ira has a question.
Yeah. So how did you manage 43 virtual showings in a weekend?
They weren't virtual. They were real life showings.
Oh.
One-on-one. Yeah.
Wow.
We were booked every 15 minutes. There was lines out the door.
I probably did half of them for her, actually.
and so obviously no one was home in the house. Is this a vacant house or is this a lived-in house?
No, it's not a vacant house. The seller just found somewhere to go for the day, for 2 days.
Wow,
Yep.
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So, because and then at the end of the day, they came home and wiped down all their doorknobs and stuff with Lysol, and that was that. And they are thrilled.
They should be.
Yeah.
And Jenny, you had a question in chat. You're unmuted if you want to ask Laura.
Oh, yeah, no, just what was the price point?
Price point was $779.
So
It's selling for far more than it ever should.
I'm just going way over asking, I assume.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Lillian had a question as well.
Go ahead.
Who?
Whoever.
I was just going to say, I've been finding, whether it's my listings or my buyers, that everything is going multiples and everything is going over asking right now.
A lot of things. And I mean, I've got a lot of listings, obviously at any given point, there's a lot of listings that we have in various towns. This weekend, every single one of them got multiple showings.
Wow. Awesome.
So
the
buyers
market's
are out.
hot, you know, despite what the public thinks. So I love your idea about talking it up. I mean, people, the perception out there versus, you know, in the public versus what we're hearing from the experts on the Zoom is very different. So talk it up, post about it on social media. To that end, on social media, any tips or strategies that work well for you on social media that you would give?
Well, I mean, on social media, what I've been really focused on since all this has started is a lot less on advertising houses. And really what I've been doing is using the time to spotlight my team. So I think the focus needs to be on people. They want to hear about you. They want to hear about your life. They want to, you know, make it more personal. And so I've been running this campaign called Home is Where the Heart Is. And every couple of days I have been you know, spotlighting someone on my team and stuff. And it's been really well received. So
awesome.
And I think it's actually, it sort of works twofold. One, we don't look like we're going out with the hard sell right now during this time. But two, you know, the whole thing with having a team, of course, you know, I'm working on the listings, but I don't take out buyers. So, you know, all these buyer leads, as they're coming in, it makes it so much easier for me to transition when they've seen on social media who it is that I'm handing them to. Yeah. So it just is like that warm transfer. It's just easier.
Was it hard to, I see Tish is on the line. Was it hard to convince her to go with that softer strategy? Because she's kind of a hardball, you know, ruthless kind of, you know, real estate shark. You know, she's so tough. Was she okay with that softer approach? Tish?
Yes, I was okay with that approach. You know how mean I am.
Yeah, you are. You're a meanie. So on the subject of your team.
Question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is Robin Morsch. Laura, so this is working now, right? Because we're able to put houses on the market with delayed showing, and then you build up that, you know, everyone, you know, people are signing in and getting the paperwork done and everything so that they can actually come and you can show the house in 2 days. But so you're putting it on the market, right? Delayed showing, and then you put out the days that you're doing that. Yep. Do you think it's something that the MLSs are going to allow us to do going forward, right? Because that wasn't allowed to do beforehand.
Well, they always allowed us to do delayed showings. We just didn't take advantage of it because there was no upside. But now, I mean, I think that we could still do it even if it's not COVID days. If the strategy continues to work, then why not, right? I think they allow you to do up to 10 days normally, 30 days now during this time period.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we were kind of talking to Tish and talking about your team a little bit. Would you be willing to share, like, what's the current structure of your team? You know, people are always interested in, you know, how a team is set up. You know, there's you, and then how many admin people? What are the other people? Are they buyers agents? Do people work with buyers and sellers, or is that separated? How does that work?
So, I mean, every team's different, but in my team, I am mainly the listing agent. That's really all I do is listings, and I help out with marketing, but only because I like it. Then I've got Tanya, who is really like my work wife, and she runs our administrative side and our marketing. And then she has Jen that works with her, who is a transaction manager for all our transactions. And then Tisha, who everybody knows, is our sales manager. So she is She still does have some listings. She does get involved in some of the listings, but for the most part, she is managing our buyer team. And then we have 5 buyer specialists. So we added on 2 since last year.
So what would be your advice if I'm a newer agent, but I'm starting to pick up steam? You know, when and how do you hire that first assistant? And then, you know, when do you consider, you know, bringing on, I don't know, is it a second admin or a buyer's agent? Like, how would you recommend, if there's somebody on here that's, I don't know, between 3 and 10 million who thinks maybe it's time to start a team, what would you recommend?
Well, I mean, yeah, you want to start with the admin. I didn't. I started with a buyer specialist, not because I was even trying to build a team at the time. Just a friend of mine approached me and wanted to work with me, and I went, oh, okay, why not? And it worked out. But that's not the way you're supposed to do it. So yes, I would recommend you get an admin as soon as you are realizing that administrative tasks and managing your listings or your transactions is taking at least whatever, 4 hours a day, let's call it. And then, you know, after that, I would start with a buyer specialist. Now, you know, we have enough of them at this point. I've got 5 awesome people, but it's too much for me to manage, which is why then, you know, and Tisha was a great fit to come in and help out with that.
Okay, that makes sense. So I was going to ask you what's the biggest challenge in your business right now, but obviously the crisis and COVID, but aside from that, what would you say is the biggest challenge? It could be anything, could be, you know, the market, something you're dealing with on your team, just what's a challenge you're facing? You don't want to make it look so easy to everybody else and they feel bad, you know, that even you have challenges, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, my challenges are really, I guess, more because I work on the listing side, my challenges are really, it's about being overwhelmed with the sellers and hand-holding and, you know, they want updates on this, updates on that. It's just, it's time consuming and you always have some clients that are a little higher maintenance than others.
Yeah. So somebody's asking you to explain that process of how to get 18 offers on all your listings, but we're going to hold that off till the end, and
Okay.
that's our teaser.
Okay.
So a more general question, do you have a philosophy for life or business?
Well, in life, I've always said, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. So I'm generally pretty determined. Don't really like to hear the word no. And you know.
I haven't noticed that about you, actually.
Well, and I've also, you know, taught my kids too, you know, don't ask, don't get. This is the way, you know, you can't be shy. You've got to ask for what you want, and there's usually a way to get it. So I guess that's kind of the way I've gone about my life.
So 2 kind of related questions, I guess. How does your business like break down? Like, where does your business come from? And or what's your best system for generating leads? And, you know, what would you recommend to other people? There's lots of different ways to be successful. Like what I always talk about is doing business by referral. That's what I like, but some people like FSBOs and expired. Some people like open houses they generate all their business from. Like, do you have one special thing that you like the best or recommend?
I've never called a FSBO or expired in my life. All of our business pretty much comes from past clients, referrals, or open houses. I mean, there's really no magic in this business, right? If you keep in touch with people and keep in touch with your database, those are the people that are going to come back to you over and over again. They know you, they like you, they trust you. It's just so much easier than trying to cold call and, you know, talk to someone you don't know. So
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I mean. So
let's say I'm a new agent. I've, you know, taught classes on doing business by referral, and you get agents that say, well, I don't have past clients yet. You know, I just started. So what would you recommend newer agents do? Well, then I would really focus on my sphere of influence. Who are the people you're seeing every day? Who are your friends? You know, your friends. Do you have family that's in the area? Do you have
you know, whatever, your through school connections, things like that, and, you know, ask them for business and remind them you're in real estate, and you'll build slowly, and then keep in really good touch with those past clients once you get them. And then in the meantime, you know, see if you can do open houses. Open houses, once we're back to those, are certainly a great source of business. And, you know, so there's usually, I know I'm often looking for people to do open houses when we're busy, I'm looking for coverage, and, you know, that's a great way to meet people in person and build that rapport.
All right, cool. Any other tips related to doing business now? You gave us a great one earlier, doing business in this sort of more virtual world right now. Anything that you're doing differently that's helping, or?
Well, I mean, I'm doing my listing appointments virtually, as I mentioned, and Jen Parsekian did a good Zoom training on that, and basically I do it in a very similar way to what she's doing, so if anyone caught that. But and then the virtual open houses we started, I don't know, a week or so ago. Those we've had some mixed results, to be honest, so don't know how far we'll pursue those, because it's just, you know, it's hard to build that rapport online.
Okay. All right, cool. So this is the thing I think a lot of people struggle with, you know, both during the crisis and not, you know, building a big business like that, 50 million plus, having a team. And then I know you have a pretty full, you know, family and social life. How do you balance that? Any advice for people out there saying, you know, I'm doing $10 million a year and I barely have time for myself. How could I possibly, you know, have enough time for my family and have a $50 million business? Like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I've got 5 kids now. But there's a few things that I do. First of all, I really don't take calls after 7 o'clock. And that has saved my sanity. When I started in the business, I thought I needed to be available to everybody. And then somebody said, I don't even remember who, but they were like, would you expect your attorney or your dentist to call you back at 7 o'clock at night? And I'm like, no. So I thought, yeah, why am I? So it's even on my, like voicemail that, you know, I don't take calls after 7. So in general, that's one thing I do. And I do check out often. So this is my priority in life, kind of what I love to do, and why I want the freedom to have this kind of business is I really enjoy traveling. And so we do that, and we do that often, and that I really value as family time. And of course, I do have the luxury of having a great team that can cover for me when I'm gone. So when I'm here, I work hard, and when I'm off, I'm off. So
yeah, I'm sure that all that traveling helps you recharge. That's a Gary Keller thing. I don't know if you heard him. He says, you know, at the beginning of the year, look out the whole year and put your vacation and family time things in there first, and fill business stuff around it. You know, so once it's in there, you know, I'm going away for a week in February and 2 weeks in July, then you just don't book any business stuff during that time, you know?
Yep. And people really don't seem to mind. Like it's never been an issue. I've done it even before I had a team. I would just be like, no, sorry, you know, I'm unavailable at that time, but I can talk to you on this date.
Makes sense. Who's like sort of monitoring this with me on the call today? Is it Elise or Stephanie?
I am Stephanie.
Hey, can you, there's some questions in chats, but they're kind of scrolling by a little bit. Do you want to read them? Do you read them off, or just ask the agent to ask themselves?
Sure. Andy's question was already answered. Robin asked, is the 50 mil for the entire team?
Yeah, so we did 53 last year across our team. That was with 3 buyer specialists, and Tisha and I. If you're looking for a breakdown, what I do, I personally do about 30 million a year.
And Yanni wants to know what your daily calendar schedule looks like.
all over the place. I am not one of these people that is a good time blocker. It's just not the way I work. I'm someone who works a little bit all the time. So I'm just a multitasker, constantly checking email, text, this, that. It's just the way I do things.
I think Luann had a couple questions. Is Luann still on?
Luann wants to know how you did your virtual open house.
Oh, we've been doing them through Zoom, and we set up, you know, a link, and we have people register for them to join our Zoom virtual open house. And then we do have, like one of our team members will go to the house, gloves, mask, etc., and do the walkthrough of the house while videoing for the team. I'm usually on the open house so that I can moderate or, you know, answer any questions that come up in the chat. And then of course we're following up afterwards. That's how we've been doing it. But like I said, it's kind of hard to build that rapport. We're not finding the same results as a typical open house.
Thank you.
Luann also asked, can you repeat that strategy, limit showings, question mark? Is that the 18?
Yeah, the first thing that you said with the 42 offers, 42 showings, 18 offers, I missed the beginning. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
So really all we did, and I mean, again, you need to have a house that's reasonably desirable to do this, but is we put it on the market with coming soon type advertising and no showings till X date. And then we just advertised it as we're only showing May 1, May 2, best and final offers May 3. And we took a gamble, and that's what we got, and it was a frenzy.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
And what was the final results for last time I'll ask? What?
42 showings across the 2 days and 18 offers. I've also, since then, I had 2 other buyers want to make an offer, but we didn't even address it because it's past the deadline.
And Tisha just texted me that 11 more came in while you've been on the Zoom, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
It looks like Ira had his hand raised.
Yeah, it was a very simple question. With respect to the virtual tour, how much time did you actually allocate for that virtual tour?
An hour. So we advertise it for, really half an hour, because we advertise it like say between whatever 12 and 12:30, and just kind of go through from there, because it doesn't take long usually to walk through these houses, but we ask the seller to be out for an hour just in case it goes longer.
Thanks.
And Ashita, it looks like you had some questions in chat. I have you unmuted if you want to ask Laura.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to know, Laura, that what kind of touches do you do on a yearly or a quarterly basis with your past clients?
Well, I mean, we're always trying to stay in touch with them and follow up. We do, do some client events. Like last year, we did have a big client barbecue at my house or something like that. That was for the first time. It's really just a constant, like you're just constantly, hey, how's it going? Quick text to them. Was just thinking about you. How are things? How do you like your house? It's not that I don't have one of those drip campaigns. It's like, what do they call them? 8x8 or whatever. I don't do any of that. So.
Okay. And are there any 1 or 2 things that you do on a daily basis to move forward your business?
Well, on a daily basis, I'm, like I said, you're reaching out to past clients, like to grow my business or to maintain my business?
Yes, to grow your business.
I don't know. I think it's sort of growing organically from word of mouth, because the results are really what grows your business. So I can't honestly think of one thing I could point to that says that I do this every day to grow my business, other than just keeping in touch with past clients.
I think Sherry.
Oh yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear me. Okay. Laura, so with your coming soon, how did you advertise and where do you advertise? If you can't put it on New Jersey MLS is coming soon.
You can put it on New Jersey MLS.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what we did. We just put it on as a regular listing and then, but just said showing start X date and with a delayed showing form.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
And Andy had a question as well.
So I'm just curious, when you did your coming soon, did you already have interior photos of the house or no?
No.
That was just an exterior photo?
Yep.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah, I did end up putting interior photos up, but only 2 days before our showings. But that was more just a function of when the house was ready to be shown because we were getting painting done. That was not a part of the strategy per se. If I had had the photos, I would have put them up.
Okay.
How did you handle all the paperwork?
It was a nightmare.
I was wondering.
I mean, quite frankly, it's a nightmare. That's it. All the waivers and stuff. I mean,
And it'll
of
get
course,
better
it's
as-
posted on my listings. Must have signed waiver before you can show. Must, wear mask, gloves. Must follow safe showing guidelines. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, believe me, this ended up being a lot of work, but it paid off, and my sellers are thrilled. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any other questions? I still have a couple more, but I don't want to hog all the questions. Anybody else have a question for Laura or her team? So I had a question. I was just thinking about, I met you when I was still at Marin Gilday, and you were only in the business a few years and already built a business that was big quickly. Like, you scaled up rapidly. Is there, I guess, what would you say is the one thing that you did differently? Because, how many agents start and 3 years later, they're not doing much business. Was there something you did differently that you would say you could attribute that to? Was it what you said before, just that you had, more responsibility on you, so you were maybe a little bit hungrier, or was there some strategy or trait that you had that enabled you to build your business so quickly?
I would say a few different things. So one is, I guess you would say luck favors the prepared. So I used to, when I was first starting out, I would spend my time driving around the neighborhoods, figuring out where every school was, figuring out what the grades were, whatever, like where's the parks, where's everything that a buyer might want to know. And that's the kind of thing that people expect you to know on the top of your head. And certainly if they feel if you are knowledgeable and you're confident, they're going to trust you much more. So that helps in getting business. I would also say, despite being an introvert, I gave a lot of parties. So I've always loved parties. This is killing me, that not being able to have parties, because we entertain a lot, and I did even when I was single or whatever. So and having that is just a constant source of, people that you're out, that they're seeing you, no matter what party you go to, people want to know what the market's like, what about that house, what did that sell for, whatever. So it always comes back to real estate.
So if you ran into somebody, well, you wouldn't in a party today, but in a virtual party or walking on the street, and they ask you, how's the market? What would you answer? Because I'm sure everyone gets that question, and maybe your answer would be helpful for everybody else's.
I mean, right now I would say, things are really moving. There's a lot of pent up demand and low inventory. And, so if you're in the market for a house, this is, you've got to jump on something. There's so many buyers coming out from the city or Hoboken or more, more crowded areas that want to be out in Bergen County. And so it's a great market. That's what I would say.
All right, cool. I've gotten through all my business questions. So I just had, my last question for you was, if you could have dinner with 3 people, live or dead, who would they be?
Well, I would be thrilled to have dinner with any of my friends or family right now, because I'm a little tired of the lockdown. So I guess, seeing any of my best friends right now would be lovely, or my parents. I would,
Let's say in a
I
more
don't know
normal
many,
time.
what's that?
In a more normal time, like assuming you could have dinner with
Yeah,
your
yeah. Well, you know, on a more somber note, my sister passed away from cancer last year. And she was 40, so dinner with her would have been nice. And I guess if I were to pick one that's more of a historical reference, I've always been fascinated by ancient Egypt, and I would pick Cleopatra. I would love to sit down and have dinner with this woman that spoke 9 languages and ran, you know, an empire and military and everything else. I think she'd be fascinating. So.
Very cool. All right, those are great answers there. Getting to know you a little bit, Laura. I am out of questions. So does anybody else? We have actually up to 15 minutes more, but we don't have to hold Laura on the whole time. And I think we still have to do our mortgage update, but I don't know, if I had an opportunity to ask some questions of a huge agent like this, I would definitely take the opportunity. Does anybody have any questions at all? We're getting a lot of thank you, excellent job, but any actual questions? Is it all that you're afraid of, Laura? I am too a little bit, but I'm still asking her questions. Anybody?
Looks like Karen has a question.
I have a question for you. What's it like being on the Laura Gill team?
Hey, Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a quick question? So when you said that people registered to your virtual open house, what do you mean registered? Because I put a link of the Zoom link on New Jersey MLS, and I really didn't have any response, but I'm listing another house next week, and I wanted to know, what do you mean by registering? People register to your open house.
Oh, it's just an option in Zoom. You just go on and you set it up. You have to set it up as a webinar, and it will allow you to set up and, you know, or to require registration. And then you can choose whether or not you want their email or phone number. I just put email because I think people generally don't want to give their number for that, and shouldn't have to really for that.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Tish, so what's it like to be on the Laura Gill team?
It's amazing to be on the Laura Gill team. Laura makes it sound easy, but she works extremely hard and is very focused and professional. And she works hard and plays hard, like she says, and the whole team kind of does. We all put our head down and I think stay very focused, so that then we can all help each other enjoy the things that we want to do. Laura knows what she wants and knows how to keep getting the business in a very professional way. And being on the team is great. I love it. Al, I've known you a long time. You've seen my career go through all its phases, and this it's great being part of the team, and I love my role in helping the agents and the backup for Laura. We're different personalities, and I think it just like works wonderfully for both of us. And I couldn't be happier, and I'd like to think our team's all happy. I think they are. We just have a great group of people, but we're not regimented and strict like Laura says, but yet we all stay on top of each other to get the job done. And I think that's why we don't have to time block as much and have call hours set, because everyone is doing their job accordingly, to what Laura and I expect of them.
Sure. Yeah, we're not strict that way on, I know a lot of teams do very specific, time blocking, prospecting, that's just not the way we do it.
Yeah.
So if somebody on the call wanted to get, to be considered to be on the Laura Gill team, like what kind of people succeed on your team, or are you looking for anybody for the team right now?
Well, they got to go through Tisha first, because she's the leader outer, and she's tough. She smiles more than I do, but she's tougher than I am. But anyway, no, I think really what you're looking for anybody who's going to be successful on a team is, you know, you really need someone who can multitask and who is efficient and who's motivated and good product knowledge. If you don't know the areas, I don't know how you're going to sell. I mean, we're always looking for talent, so you know, we're not specifically hiring at this moment, but if the right opportunity were to come across, we're always looking.
Yeah, I'm always happy to meet with someone. They can call me. You know, I always talk to anyone that's interested, and usually, you know, you can see what they're expecting or want and what we want, and you know, we always keep that in mind. So we're always open. They could just call me.
Awesome. Looks like there are a few more.
Diana had a question.
Hey, Laura, thank you for sharing. So I watched your virtual open house, and I have to say it took me a while to figure out that it was probably one of the more professional ones. I know that there's been challenges, all of us. The only thing that helps me when I look at other people's, I'm like, all right, so mine wasn't so bad, because everybody, I think, is struggling through the same thing. I realized that I noticed that you did it on a webinar. I set up my account with Zoom as a webinar. The one thing that you did that I still have not been able to figure out, if you could fill me in, is how are you moderating that from another location?
So I just set myself up as a panelist, and then I can just see if there's any questions, chat, you know, anyone in the chat, anyone in the Q&A asking anything, and then I'll just answer the questions or whatever. I know you saw the first one we did, which had a couple little blips. We have since, well, we'll say we perfected it for now.
No, actually, I thought yours, I mean, I've looked at many from our company and other companies. And like I said, it just made me feel like, all right, we're all learning this at the same time live.
Yep.
So no, I didn't notice a blip on yours, but I did notice that you were able to speak to them, which you were the first person I saw doing it. I saw Stacey Esser do it this weekend as well. She had somebody monitoring it from the office, Jackie, I believe. And then, so when the technology went down, or it was, you know, they had issues, you know, the moderator picking up was so much more professional.
Yeah, it just makes it smoother. Plus, quite frankly, I mean, obviously as a list agent, I generally know more I know what the answers are, so it's easier for me to answer instead of someone's trying to stumble through it like live. But it's smoother because when you're doing it, when you're actually trying to, you know, tour the house, it's very distracting to try and figure out and also read the question and answers and stuff. So it just makes it easier.
So by being a panelist, you're speaking aloud to people, they could hear you? Because I heard you speaking to your team member, which was great. Gina did a fantastic job, and you were prompting her or saying questions.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Anyone doing the Zoom open houses, we did practice that a lot behind the scenes. After watching other companies and the cameras going up and down, and we wanted to try to go out there as professionally as possible. So everybody trained for over a week on that privately within our team to get them to go as smoothly, because it's harder than you think. The first time Laura and I did it, we were like, oh my gosh, like we thought we were just gonna do one of these, and we're like, wait a second, back up. You know, it's
I toured my own house like 15 times. My kids were like, what are you doing? Yeah,
so definitely practice.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Someone wants to know what your team arrangement looks like.
What do you mean? The structure?
Yeah, it's Yanni. Can you unmute?
Yeah.
Yes. Mainly, how is your team? Like, I know you mentioned about you have 3 buyer, special buyer agents. How do you have your team as a whole? Structure.
No, we have, so we have 5 buyer specialists, and Tisha manages them. So that was just speaking. Okay. And then we have 2 on our administrative side. Tanya and Jen they're doing, you know, the administrative paperwork, the marketing, and the transaction management. And then I do listings.
You mainly focus on the listing part. Got it. Thank you.
And we really, our number of 53 million, we really only had 3 buyers agents last year. We had brought new ones on. So the 5 really is now right, Laura? Last year, we
Yeah.
really based that,
Yeah.
those numbers were based on really 3 buyer's agents. We've grown the team since the end of the year.
Got it. Thank you.
Claudia wants to know if you have a business coach.
No, I do not.
Me yelling, no.
Yeah, true. Tisha keeps me in line.
And then Mary Margaret has a question. I unmuted you if you want to ask it.
All right, hi, thanks. I was wondering, what would you tell a potential seller who is interested in selling before the quarantine, but is now wanting to hold off?
I would tell, I mean, is it a house that's desirable, like a good price point?
Yeah.
Get it on the market. There are tons of buyers out there.
They're an elderly couple and they're concerned about having people come in and they kind of want to wait off until everything lifts. So
I mean, I do have some people that are doing that, and that's certainly, I understand, and that's their prerogative. And if they don't need to sell right away, that's fine. But if they do want to sell, there's a great opportunity right now. And I think something that's even going to work to our benefit even more is that with the schools now being closed, that's awesome. Because now, look, everybody can move anytime. They don't have to wait until July. So, you know, we have an extended summer market really where people can close right now.
Good
So
point.
I would talk to them about how many, give them my example if you want of the house we sold this weekend. And that wasn't the only house we sold this weekend. Plus we had, you know, other showings on all of our other listings. The buyers are out there. So if they're willing to allow, you know, you just have to really go through and explain to them, manage expectations on how the safe showings work and how it's one-to-one and everyone's going to be wearing gloves and masks and blah, 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 you know, try and allay their fears. And if they're really not comfortable, then so be it. I certainly understand.
Sorry about the running back and forth. If you guys notice, I'm sure you can all relate it. My son needed a check at 3:55, not 4 p.m. He couldn't wait 5 minutes for this to be over. So, all right. Any other
We have
questions?
one more question from Keith. Keith, I unmuted you if you want to ask.
Oh, hey. All right, cool. Hey, Laura. Just a quick question, because I know that you do a lot of mailers, and of course I see them all the time. Do you recommend that based on the ROI? Do you think that it's a worthwhile quarterly investment? And you know, how much are you budgeting for that of your marketing expenses?
Okay, well, I've been doing that for years because for me, it's not so much a direct ROI, it's branding. And I come from the marketing world, and I used to manage offline and online marketing for Citigroup. So that was just part of our business model that we did there. So it's something I've replicated here. It's not going to do it quarterly. You cannot do it quarterly. It won't work. It's just too much time in between. So if you're going to do it, you have to commit to it and do it every single month, month in, month out, whether you're making money or not. So I do it. I wouldn't say that you know, someone calls me and says, I have to buy this house because I saw this mailer. It's not that easy. It's branding. And when I walk in the door for a listing appointment, people know who I am already, and it just makes it easier.
Sure. Okay, great. Thank you.
And it's expensive. So I do.
Yeah, well, that's really what prompted the question. I know, because I've done it. And again, yeah, to do it regularly is very pricey. Eats up a lot of the marketing budget.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Laura? I had a question for the group real quick while Laura is still on. Well, actually, Laura doesn't have to stay on, but I want to say to Laura, you had over 100 people on this at one point, and I think Chris Suarez, we only had about 70 people. We've had more people for Laura, Zohar, and Sheldon Neal than we've had from some of these, you know, big national names. So I don't know if you want to put it in the chat or just tell us, is it more helpful hearing from the top local agents? Does that just feel more applicable to you than having, you know, big names that might be, you know, across the country? Anybody have a feeling on that? Type it in the chat or
Anand said top local agents.
Top local agents.
Getting a
Seems
lot
like
of yeses for
getting
the local agents.
Local agents. So, all right, cool. We want the Laura Gills. I mean, there's not a lot of Laura Gills, you know, around. So, we'll shoot for more local people. Any last question for Laura before we wrap it up? or Laura, did you have any parting words of wisdom before you wrap it up?
No, not when you put me on the spot like that.
No? All right. Well, you gave us enough words of wisdom, and we really, really appreciate you gave us, some great overall tips and some very, actionable things that people can go out and help their business with. And the feedback in the chat is amazing. So we really appreciate you coming on. Do we have somebody from, before we wind up, from the mortgage company?
Yes, Jason is on.
You have Jason? All right.
Thanks for
Laura,
having me on, everybody.
thanks a lot. We really, really appreciate your help. And Laura's team is definitely a well-run machine. If you are a newer agent or even a producing agent and you want to get on a great team, reach out to Tisha or Laura and see what they have to offer. Thanks. Jason, it's all you, buddy.
Thanks, Al. Just want to give a quick update. Rates on FHA are coming down a little bit. Things are starting to normalize there. Conventional, still the same. If it's someone with good credit score, 700 plus, whether it's 5% down or 25% down, looking at rates somewhere in the low threes, like 3.25, 3.75 to 3.85, depending on, down payment and credit score. But we're still doing loans. Just to echo what what was said on the call. April was probably second busiest month ever for the company in history. So we're really starting to ramp up now, getting a lot of calls, getting a lot of applications, and also experiencing the same thing in regard to offers. Seeing a lot of people having to make a decision very quickly, get their best and final in within a couple of days. And, I think that definitely helps push people to really think about whether or not, are they just looking or are they really serious about buying? And then also making serious offers as opposed to just, toying around and trying to lowball it because they think, that in this market, they're going to get a tremendous deal. Definitely starting to see more people, get off the bench and try to get in the game. So, if anybody has questions, what I would tell you about FHA are really any scenario from a conventional perspective where the loan amount is going to be above 510. Really make sure that they're, speaking to their lender and that they understand where interest rates are. Make sure the pre-approval's up to date. Because if they've haven't spoken to their loan officer for a month, things can be drastically different than the last time they spoke to them. So just want to make sure that everything's up to date and they're not wasting their time, they're not wasting your time, and that everyone's on the same page.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that. Any questions for Jason? Nothing? Come on, it's got to be a mortgage question. I guess your explanation was just so spot on. You answered everything.
What can I say, Al?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have to jump on another call anyway, but one thing before we wrap it up, first, I just want to say, Laura, again, that was really an awesome job. Got a lot out of it and tons of great feedback in the chat. So I'm not the only one who thinks that. And for everyone else, I sent an email that I'm sure you didn't read, but we're changing the format of this. We're going, because of Bold, we're just going to do this on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time, but we're still going to do something every day. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays we're going to do it at 5 o'clock, which is probably not a great time, but we're not going to have any guests. What we're going to do is I'm going to be on with the team leaders. I'm sure it'll probably be less people, but it's more what I started this out to be was just so people could come on and ask questions of us, what's going on, when are we going to reopen the office or anything like that you want to know, or just socially to, chat, ask some questions of fellow agents. So I'll keep that going, even if there's only, 5 or 10 of us on. So we're going to keep the same format, although I'm going to try to have more local people given the response to Laura and some other people. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, 5 o'clock for just 30 minutes to kind of just, chat with your fellow agents and with me and the team leaders and brainstorm a little bit. So I'm hoping you'll attend the 5 o'clock session as well, although I know maybe some of you are eating dinner at that point. Especially if you're Italian and you eat early. All right, anything else before we wrap it up? All right. Thanks again, Laura, Tish, and Jason. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.